Good evening. So we got some good news. One of the people down south, somebody that we know spoke to their neighbor, and somebody laid eyes on them and spoke to them, and they're good. So, deep breath, right? Wow. Awesome. Good news. And you can't expect to be in contact with people right away, right? And so even just the fact that we know anything is such a blessing. So, just great. Good stuff. This evening, we're going to have a couple of interesting toys to play with during the initial segment. And we're going to be looking at a fun little thing that I thought would be an interesting mashup of two concepts, right? Luana, how you doing? Thanks for popping in. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of the quote from Ernest Hemingway that a story could be written using only 6 words, right? And there's an interesting beauty and truth to that. And so I kind of went through the exercise. I thought it was a fun exercise. There was a point in my life in the recent past where it was kind of like a crazy period of serious tumult. It was kind of like my tower period. And I decided to do something for the first time ever in my life, which was to write. I've never written. I express myself through music and drawing and painting, things like that. And so, expressing myself through writing wasn't something that I had ever really considered. But I thought, oh, this is a cute little exercise, right? I had popped into it or bumped into it on the internet. And there was some really interesting stuff that people had written, and I thought, oh, that's a really interesting poetic device, right? Let's just apply the rule and see what comes out. And there's just interesting stuff that pops up, and we'll go through a couple and see if we can. Oh, Lauren, how's it going? I'll see if we can come up with a couple even here in the chat and stuff. And it's a really interesting exercise to kind of. The limitations obviously are what create the art, right? I mean, haiku is so beautiful because the rhythm works, and yet the context is there. And, it's the same thing of this beauty of rhyme, and then there's the opposite side of that, of course, like James Joyce, where, it's pure psychedelic. You don't even know what you're reading, but you feel it, right? And so the limitations of the 6 words only, telling an entire story, really actually it creates this framework for creativity that just explodes once you get into that mindset. And so I thought when we began, if we're going to talk about playing with our toys, right, as we approach this whole subject of tarot and how we can apply it to our lives, how we can, more importantly, apply it to our knowledge, apply it to other knowledge, and sort of find these little connections that turn into big connections, which ultimately lead to that one kind of truth that they're all really telling the same story, right? And so, the deal is that you have to be able to have the opportunity to play with the toys and make the discoveries that kind of are the pointers. And those pointers lead you to the truth. But the thing is that the system is ultimately designed to elicit that truth. So they work very well together, right? It's important that you have this opportunity whenever you can to combine the heart and mind. And so it's a perfect exercise for that, because when the words are true, it's hard not to connect to it emotionally. And since we are, due to the limitation, forced to A, use words, and B, limit the number, it's a pure mental activity at the same time. So it's a really cool union of the spheres of the brain, and it's also a union of the brain and heart, right? And so I encourage anybody who hasn't done it or heard of it to go through this exercise on your own. It's a really good meditative tool. It's a really great creative tool, and you might just find out, if you aren't already, that you might be a good writer, because it does lead to some interesting things. The idea is that only 6 words can be used, and yet still you'll have an entire story can come to your mind from it, right? And so here's just a couple that I came up with right away. And why this is relevant, this isn't Poetry Hour with Michael. What we're going to do is we're going to take those 6 words, we're going to take the first letter of each word, and then we're going to do Gematria on those letters. first, it's going to create a new word. And then secondly, we're going to have a numerical value. And so what we can do is we can speak this word. And what that word is the story, the entire story in one word. And we can then reduce it to a number, and that number represents the word, which represents an entire story, right? So it's a cool way, Brianna, how's it going? To play with your toys, but that leads to a pointer that actually points at the truth, right? So I thought it would be fun. So just to kind of put us all in the right frame of mind, I had the luxury of looking at the blog and reading the ones that people had read, and it brought me to that place, right? So I'm going to bring you to that place, and then I want you to kind of be open to these 6 words, right? And so you're going to think of all kinds of cool stories. So the first one that I came up with, which is actually in the end my favorite of all of them, there's that noise again. I'm scared. Like, wow, there's stuff that can come to your head, right? Now, there's a couple things. First of all, it implies that there's more than one person. There's that noise again. Almost like they're saying something to somebody. You know? And so, and who is it? I always, when I first wrote it down, I just was spitting words out. But then when I read it, I saw it as like a young brother and sister in a dark room hiding. That's kind of what I envisioned. So, like, the question is what are they hiding from, and what are they going to do, and, you know, how did they get there, and all that. So, awesome. She killed him the slow way. The way I kind of thought of it is sort of like a long, bad marriage. This one's kind of creepy. This one's a horror movie waiting to happen. He stood watching. She lies silent. I don't know if I want to do Gematria on that one, right? Her perfume always made me smile. The word made makes it sad. Keeping it simple isn't so easy. That's not a story. Actually, I don't think that qualifies as a story. That's kind of like a fortune cookie, right? That's like a pearl of wisdom. That's like, it's not a story. Ooh, this one's like, the rain was all she had. Wow. Man, you can go somewhere with some of these, right? And so, like, put yourself in that mindset. Lord, why have you forsaken me? Powerful. That's when I think I want to do Gematria on, right? That's like a biggie that I think half the planet has spoken at least once in the past 2 years. So you get the idea. And now, so what I'm implying is that let this kind of brew, and if you get 1 or 2 or 10, spit them in the chat, right? And we'll do the math, and we'll figure it out. Like, it's really interesting, and this is part of the exercise of expanding the idea of Gematria. There's these other ideas. I don't know why the third mode escapes me. Bereshith, I think. I forget the name. But there's Notoricon and there's Gematria. And what we're talking about is taking a word and then figuring out the numerical value. Look at other words that have the same value. Okay, so that's fun. But now we're also looking at, let's take a sentence and then just take out the first letter of each word to make a new word that implies the sentence. And then we can take the numerical value, which applies to the word. So like the word, the number, and the sentence are kind of the same thing, right? Every second has a third. And so it's an interesting way to find kind of that truth, right? So if you have any, spit them in the chat, and it's going to be fun to go through that process. And then the third one is to take a word and then make a sentence out of it. So take a word that does exist, like for instance the word love, or hate, or truth, or something even silly. Like pick a silly word. Like this is a biggie, but supercalifragilisticexpialidocious would be like a paragraph, and it would be interesting to see what you come up with using each letter as the first letter of a word. Another interesting exercise too is to pick a word or a letter of the alphabet and write at least a paragraph using only that letter as the first letter of the words. Right? Please pardon my penchant for profundity, but it is part and parcel to my purpose, which is to present the present of the present to the person persistent in the prison of your personality. Guess what letter that was? F. So you get the idea, right? And so Gematria is powerful, but the beauty of it is that you can use it anywhere. It doesn't have to be in ancient Hebrew, mystic, occult text, right? You can like write a poem and then decode your own poetry. Look at somebody else's poetry. Grab a lyric from your favorite song. Take a melody that you love and pick out the letters of the notes, right? I mean, and the order will change the word, right? And so these things matter. And it's a really, really interesting thing. So one of the first ones that I wanted to touch on was it's one that just always has rung to me true, right? Pardon me, I decided to lose the page. What about that? There we go. Need to mark this page somehow. There's that noise again. I'm scared. I think it'll be fun. That's just going to be interesting to look at. Keeping it simple isn't so easy. I think that's a good one too. And Lord, why have you forsaken me? So, what we're going to do is, Lord, why have you forsaken me? Right? And so let's just put it in. Let's just put it in the chat, so it's obvious to everybody what we're doing here. Lord, why have you forsaken me? All right. And so what we're going to do is take the first letter of each word. So that's going to be, Lord, why have you forsaken me? Thank you, Brianna. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the Gematria. So the first letter is going to be Lamed, right? And so let me grab my calculator here. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is Lamed, right? So 30. And then we have this is going to be number 6. And the reason that's number 6 is because of how it's spoken, which is vow. Vow. Okay, and you'll notice the shape, ow, implies the W sound when you hear it. It also is the O, sometimes the O vowel, vow. It's like the ow instead of the oo or the O, but it's still an O sound. And so very often, not very often, always, Gematria is based on the sort of the spoken, the vibrated letters. And there's no vowels, but they're all vowels, right? So, but there's no vowels. So, but that said, so in this particular case, because we're talking about English to Hebrew, we're just going to go phonetic, which is appropriate anyway. But so that W is actually the vowel, which would be 6. Okay, and then we're going to do hey, right? For H, which is the 5th one down there on the right, left rather. Yud, right? Yud is the I, Y, J, right? Ya, ja. Then we're going to do the F, which is pay, in the middle, right? That's why I made that joke. Please pardon my penchant, which is P, is actually F, right? So pay, which is 80. Okay, what do we have here? M, which would be mem. That's the 4th one down in the middle, right? So our total is 171, which is a 9. That's kind of cool, I guess. Awesome. That's interesting, too. 2 1s with a 7 in the middle. Yeah, I can't ignore that. That's pretty interesting. So, let's take a look. Let's go to the book. Okay. 171. Okay, just 171. Let's see what we can see. Emanating from the face of God. Emanating from. Lord, why have you forsaken me? And the face of God. Interesting, okay. And now let's say the word. Let's say the word. So the W would be an O sound, again, because the W implies the character, not how it's pronounced. And so it would be pronounced as an O, right? So I'm going to type as I go how to pronounce this phonetically. So we're looking at lamed, so it would be low. Hey would be loe. Loe. And that's loe. Loe feme. Loe feme. Loe feme? Let's look at that. Perhaps. I think that I'm going to pronounce the vowel as a V, not an O, because there's the hey and the yud are being pronounced as vowels. So I'm going to go hard on the L and the vowel. So let's do Lavea. Yeah, Lavea Fem. Lavea Fem. Or you can do Lavea Fem. Or we can reverse it and do, let's see, Mefe, Mefeol, Mefeva, right? So you have this, you can pick a word, whichever one rings with you, and that word is going to be that whole line, right? And this is just fun to kind of look up the comparisons, but that's interesting. The face of God. And emanating from, is that what it said? Emanating from? Let's see, where's the 171? Yes, emanating from. Very, very good stuff. And there's other stuff that's pretty like heavy Kabbalistic, so it's not, you know, it's not good for like a general. This is, we're in the outer order. But you get the idea. So, which, you know, really, I mean, this is a public book, so it is kind of outer order anyway. But the information isn't. You have to have the ears to hear. So, that said, let's look at another one. And if anyone has any ideas, let me know. I lost the page again. See, this little book is just a great book, right? It's got a really nice, pretty leather. It's, you know, it's got the really whatever. But it comes with these to close it, which are very handy for marking pages, and my brain cannot recall this. Like, my brain does not allow me to remember that fact and then use that fact. Odd. And I have a pretty good memory. I've had this book a long time, and it doesn't ever dawn on me to remember to do that. There we go. Oh, by the way, here's a little note that I wanted to remember to say tonight. There are no answers. The sooner you let go of the compulsion to know and just be, the sooner you will find truth. Anyway, so let's try. Does anyone want to do the horror movie one? He stood watching. She lies silent. All right, so that's a good one. Hey, Shin, Vow, Shin, Lamed, Shin. Okay, so we have Hey, Shin, Vow. Shin, Lamed, Shin. Or let's do Samic. Yeah, let's do Samic, not Shin. Yeah. Pardon me. Hebrew is not my first language. Samic, Lamed, Samic. Okay? And now, once again, what we're saying here is, he stood watching, she lie silent. Okay? So let's take a look. Isn't it fun playing with toys? Okay, let's see. He. Samak is in the middle, 60. Stood. Watching. She. Maybe I should do the shin for that one. Oh, it begs it, doesn't it? The word she in that line means we should use the letter shin, right? It's the third one down on the right. I think that rings true in my heart, and I'm going with it. The divine mind told me in my heart that shin is the letter for the second S in this sentence. So I'm going to start over. Hey, Samak, vow, shin, Lamed, Samak. 461. 11. That's awesome. So let's do this. We'll look at 461. Oh, look what I did. Look what I did. You ready? Ready? Oh, I'm going to remember that page. Okay. So 461, right? Is that what we were doing? Okay, 461. Thank you for participating in me learning that I have to do that from now on. And like I finally actually did it. And so it's in my brain now. 461. Thinking isn't enough. You got to do it. Thinking is playing with toys. Doing is inner order. Okay, 461. There's a lot in Latin. Okay. Not sure what he means here, so, but this, yeah, I'm not the polyglot in the room. Although I speak a couple languages, I'm very limited in French, very limited in Italian, very limited in Chinese, but really good at Brooklyn and English. Forget about it. So, robustus, validus, asper, horridus, rigidus. So, Gesundheit. All right. Very interesting. And let's do the theosophical reduction, right? So we're talking about 11. I mean, you know, 11's not a bad number there. It's one of those kind of numbers, you know what I mean? Aha. And no, I'm not kidding. It means aha. Where and when. Whew, that's great. Come on. What are we talking about? What is all this about? Where? Nowhere. When? Never. Not now. We keep being told the answer. Now. Nope. Never. To conceal. The circularity or form or motion. Great stuff. So yeah, fun. I have my screen closer to my face than I have looked myself in the mirror, really. That's right. It is weird when you can kind of like catch yourself, you know, in different. But so yeah, let's do a new one. Let's do a new one. Somebody spit out. Oh, look what time it is. Somebody spit a word out. A random word. First thing that comes to your head. Just pick a word. Anybody. I know there's a delay, so I'll chill out for a sec and sip my coffee. But make it like a cool word, like voluptuous or serendipity or you know, I don't know, something cool or poetic or like, you know. And then we're gonna write a 6-word story from that word. I think that's going to be a fun exercise. There's another interesting exercise I went through too during that writing period, where I would ask 3 random people to give me the first word that came to their head, and then I would write a paragraph using those 3 words. And man, some very heavy truth came out of that process. It's kind of like magnetic poetry, but different, because you're only, with magnetic poetry, you only use the words on the magnets. But it's, in this case, you're given 3 words by a stranger, and then you write a whole paragraph. So there is the limitation, which gives the opportunity for transformation. But at the same time, you can kind of go any direction. You're not limited in that sense. And so the creative output there's a lot of possibility. And it's a really interesting exercise to go through, because you can also get a little bit of an insight into where you are emotionally at that moment, because what you write is kind of a reflection of what you're going through at the moment, typically. And so it's a little microscope into your past when you look at some stuff you've written compared to what you're writing, or what you've drawn or painted, or, I'm thinking maybe existential. So let's do a 6-word story using the word existential somewhere. Mystic. Oh, that's great stuff. I love that word. Let's do that. We'll throw both in. Why not? Existential dread is just mystical denial. That's not a story. That's not a story. I don't think that qualifies. It's true to me. That rang true to me, but that's not a story. Labyrinth. That's a good word. You know what that reminds me of is the Anatorian deck, because all of the chords have a maze behind them. It's really great. Let's see, Labyrinth. By the way, I love that movie. The duet, I sing that karaoke all the time. You know, the scene where the ballroom, rather, not the duet, the ballroom scene, I love that song, and I sing it karaoke all the time. That's a really cool song. You remind me of a babe. Let's see. Labyrinth. The labyrinth is a straight line. The labyrinth is a straight line. The labyrinth is a straight line. That's 6. Yep. Oh, David Bowie, come on. That movie was just amazing, and nobody could have done that role the way he did. And if you had told me, oh, we have this movie, and this is I would have been like, come on, so good. It could not have been any other way. It was exactly what it needed to be. And actually, because when I first viewed it, a very young, I was a young person, but looking back, it's like beautiful truth in that whole movie. Just watch it again with new eyes. Just good stuff. 10:15. That's a good word. Oh, when I looked down at my clock, it was 1:11. I'm on the East Coast in the United States. I'm in upstate New York. My clock said 1:11. So, yeah, is that a story? I don't think it is. Maybe. The labyrinth is a straight line. I don't know. But yeah, so let's try that one. All right, so we're going to do the labyrinth is a straight line. Okay. Tau. Portion, we do Tet. Let's do Tet 9. Oh, I love that. Jules is a good one. So Tet. Lamed. Yud. Aleph. Samach. Lemon. Oh, great. Okay, and it's a 5. 140. The labyrinth is a straight line. So, what did I say? 140. 140. The labyrinth is a straight line. Kings, the angels of, and then it mentions wow, a couple of, it's a tree of life stuff. It's Kabbalistic stuff, but also the word kings. 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 I have to think about that one. What do you guys think about the word kings? I don't know. But how would you say the word? How would you speak it? Because it means 140, but which can also obviously be a 5. But 140 or let's see, Taliasal. Oh, okay, yeah. So that's 3 hours, and did we? Oh, by the way, did we abandon daylight savings? I think, right? When is that happening? Is it this year? Because messing with our natural rhythm just seems odd. Like I'm curious. It's going to be interesting to see how we all readjust and how the effect that has, positive, negative, or otherwise. It's going to be interesting to observe how not changing the clock affects our circadian rhythm, affects our our concept of time, right? I mean, how weird is it when it's dark at 4:30 in the afternoon? It's just weird. But if our cycle were just like left alone, it might be even more dramatic or less dramatic. Like, it's going to be interesting to see how that all evolves. I know there's certain parts of the world that do and don't observe it, and it can confuse things. And what's funny too is that a bunch of programmers are going to have to change a bunch of code. Is this the next Y2K? Oh, interesting too. I did Gematria on 2 of the names, and 2 of the names that I bestowed upon the members of the Inner Order equal December 1st and December 2nd. That's just kind of neat, and totally coincidentally, because again, this is all coincidental, is my daughter's birthday, which is just cool. It's neat. But December 1st is, so that's just neat. But so yeah, that's just one way that you can go through this process, and another way, which is a lot of fun, is to go the opposite. So find a single word, right? Wow, I love that. Yep. And then find words to make a sentence out of that one word by using each letter of the word to be the first letter of a new, right? And so you can come up with a whole new sentence. And, finally you can take the opposite of that and just reverse and then add letters, and just kind of break it out either down where you're adding new words and then that new word has letters that are words and so forth, or the opposite, or pick a letter and then form a bunch of words with just that letter and do the Gematria. It's really interesting. There's all the ways that you can play with it, and it's kind of the whole point of it is to leave your mind open to the things that you can find and don't take it too seriously. It really, the connections matter, but not all connections are equal. Although they all point to the truth in some degree, we're playing with toys. And so we have to remember that the goal is the one truth, like the answer to the question, the truth that is the actual truth when you take the question and the answer and combine them and realize they're not opposites, and there's this opposite, which is truth. And so when you're doing this phase, keep that in mind, right? And that's kind of why there's an inner and an outer sanctum, or order. The reason that there's an inner and an outer order, truthfully, is because magical work, religious work, the idea of knowing God, knowing yourself, these ideas. The real goal of the work, which is to achieve conversation, right, is heavy and serious. And you have to take it seriously, or it's, because you kind of won't have a choice when it comes to you. It's like, however, you also have to play, and you have to live life and not think about any of these things and just be. That's what we're here to do anyway. That's the goal, is to just be. And so the outer order is that part, the just being, the playing, and all that stuff. However, the inner order, when you are in that place, when you're doing your work, and you're whether you're meditating or you're reading or whatever you're doing as part of that process, you have to take it seriously. Even if you're just doing Gematria, when you're in that place, it should be taken seriously. And that's why you even have names, right? Like, you give yourself that name when you're in that space so that you're taking it seriously, and the work means something more than when you're in the, playing with friends on poetry and keywords and stuff like that. So it's important to make the distinction so that you can remember that what we're doing here, this work, the Gematria and that kind of thing, and tarot readings are a learning process, insightful. They do give you answers, as tarot is very good at it. It really is. But that's not the goal, right? And so you have to do kind of both. And when you're ready, you won't even have a choice. It comes to you, and then it's just like it's like a thunderclap. And then you can't go back. You're changed. You're transformed forever. You can't. It's one of these things that you can't unlearn. It can't be taught, but it also can't be unlearned. It's kind of great. So let me just review my notes and see if there's anything I wanted to speak about related to this. Well, yeah, just basically that, as you walk the path, at least this has been my experience. The stuff that used to be really important doesn't really matter anymore. And the stuff that I didn't even think about is everything. It's a side effect of transformation. It's kind of what you're looking for. And if you're open to that, it'll happen. And now, what that means, though, is you have to be open to, a new way of thinking, or more importantly, examining your thoughts from a different lens, and then recognizing whose they are. Is it your ego, or is it you? Is it your ego doesn't have your best interest in mind. It has its own agenda, and that is the only thing that matters. However, if you can utilize it, make it your other, and you both have the same agenda, then things go smooth. And you can be in the work, right? Wow. Okay, let's do that. That's a goodie. That's gonna be, let's see here. Where's my calculator? Okay, so bet, resh, Resh is on the, the right there, second down. Yud. Aleph. Nun. Two nuns. Two nuns walk into a bar. Nun is the fifth one down, so I just put in 100. Aleph. Yud. Aleph. Lots of Alephs. Nun. Three nuns walk into a bar. And they all bump their heads. Aleph. Hey. Now that's going to be Kaf. Vow. Nun. Samach. $5.17. Very pretty. So I mean, this is half of God, right? 13 is half of God, which is also 4, right? But it's 20. If you do the name of God and or at least the Hebrew name of God, the Yud He Vav He equals 26, and obviously 26 over 2 is 13. So 13 is a great number. But let's look up 517 first, right? 517. The good gift. Malkut. Wow. It means Malkut. Occulte. That's a great word. And some other stuff. And tree life stuff like kind of heavier Kabbalistic stuff. But the good gift or Malkuth, which is the bottom of the tree, it's where we are. Christ has returned. Okay, so that's going to be CHR. That's going to be Kof He Resh. Right? Kof He Resh. Right. It's pretty too. $2.25. $15 squared. Let's verify that. Let's not take Crowley's word for it. I mean, he was a genius, but, let's check the math. $15 squared is 158. Let's try that again. 15 squared. 225. Yep. All right. I guess Crowley was right. All right. I guess I have to give it to him. But all kidding aside, it's fun, right? It's fun. I enjoy this exercise very, very much. And you could even take a line from a book, which I'll be reading in a moment. I shall read to you from Kybalion. So we're going to talk about in the next segment, the inner. We're going to go over a couple cool things, and specifically 2 particular axioms that I decided to pluck out tonight to blow some minds. And the most important, my own, because really, you guys are going to love that. It's going to be amazing. And The Inner Sanctum is transforming fear. That is a biggie. And that's something I wish I would have known a long time ago. You know, I've actually given this talk multiple times, and there's always a couple of people that really, really take this to heart, and you can actually see their life change. It's something else, and it's a very simple technique. It's a very simple. It's not a technique. It's a conversation. It's a realization. It's a thunderclap. So that's a biggie. But just want to make sure I didn't miss anything that I wanted to look at specifically during this period of time. Also, yeah. Okay. I think okay. Yeah. That was that. Unless there's anything else you guys would want to look at, are there any other words, or are there any other? Is there a particular song lyric? I think song lyrics are fun too. That's a really biggie. Like even just the chorus. Song titles are fun, but it's more appropriate to take a word and take the first letter of each and have a new word. There's more complexity, and the more complexity, the more intelligence that's in the word, right? There's more entropy, therefore more possibility. Hello, Shika. Actually, we'll be doing readings in a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to be kind of going through a couple of quick things, but we'll be moving relatively quickly tonight. I came on a little earlier than usual so that I would have more time to do readings. So once we get past the Inner Sanctum, we're going to pop back into the Outer Order, and that's when the readings come. So yeah, absolutely, very soon. Man, I love notes. Whew. They're just great. They make the whole thing smooth. Yeah, here's a little note I had, actually, which might be fun, and we can do this next time, unless you want to pop a couple today. But basically what you do is you take the letter of each number in your birthday, and then speak the word. All right, so December 1675 or 1974, whatever you do, you know. And so a 1 would be Aleph, right? A 2 would be Bet, so that's Ab. 16 would be a vowel, Av. Abav, right? Above, Abav. Wow, it's hard not to think that. But yeah, so Ab, Av for 12, 16, 1, 2, 1, 6, and then 1, which would be Ah. 9, I'm forgetting the 9. Tet, okay. So Ab, Av, At, Ze, Abavatze. My birthday is Abavatze. And if you do it with an Italian accent, they won't know that it's actually a hidden thing, right? And someone asks you, what's your birthday? Abavatze. They're going to think you cursed at them in Italian, like, oh, dude, sorry I asked. No, that's my birthday. And then the conversation's open, bang, you've opened their minds. Oh, of course. So my birthday is Abavatze, that's cool. So, yeah. And if anyone wants to do that, you know the technique, right? It's just, you just find the letter associated with each number in your birthday, right? So I did 1, and then 2 for 12, so A, B, and then I did 1, 6, right? Which was Av, Abav, right? And then keep going, right? And then once you get that word, now if you're not familiar with the system, you know it may be a little strange at first, knowing where to stick the vowel, but you get a hang of it. And if you have any questions, just text or email or whatever the case, and I'll get in touch and we'll kind of like go over how to speak it. It's pretty fun. Abavatse, I love that. It sounds. But you're supposed to vibrate. Abavatse, you know. You did the Darth Vader. Join me. And so that's the idea of vibrating. when you're praying. So that's, and when you're in the inner order, if you're going to say those words, you vibrate them. Outside, abavatse. So you get the idea. All right, so yeah, I think we're done with toy time. Let's move over to some inner order stuff. There's some really, really good stuff that we're going to talk about today in the inner order. And I think that you're going to find this particular part really, really interesting. I shall read to you from Kybalion. And what we're trying to do here is to, I've spoken many times that if a system is true, it tells the truth, the one truth. And there are many systems that are true. Therefore, each one of them tells the one truth, but they're telling something different, but it turns out they're not. And so we can use a certain type of thinking to see the combinations, to see the connections, to see the union of these different bodies of knowledge, and recognize the truth everywhere, because that's where it is. Where is it? It's nowhere. What am I talking about? So I thought one way to do that would be to look at Kybalion, right? Now, this is a cool copy because it's got Emerald Tablet with it, and this is kind of what you get if you bought it right now, like off Amazon or wherever. It's going to be the union of them, these two books stuck together, which is great. The Emerald Tablet is this big. It's like a couple lines of text, right? I think 22 or something. But and then there's some basic commentary. There's better versions if you want the full commentaries and so forth, but the commentaries that are here include, for instance, Isaac Newton's commentary on it. Is Blavatsky in here? I'm not sure if they have Blavatsky's. Yep, Blavatsky, right? I mean, Blavatsky, come on. Elena Petrova Blavatsky. That's another one. We really have a lot to thank. I mean, she opened some eyes. But it's a very short text. And then to the back, you get the Kybalion. So what I thought would be interesting would be to go over the axioms, which I've read one or two under certain circumstances here on streams. But these are really cool. And I'm not going to read the whole axiom, just the axiom itself, not the commentary. So it's going to be a sentence. Okay? Hey, Missy, how's it going? Very much. Fun stuff. We just got done playing with toys, and we're going to get to good stuff. We were doing Gematria, where we would take a sentence and then just the first letter of each word in that sentence. And, you know, we were doing birthdays and turning them into, what was my birthday? Abavatse. That's what my birthday sounds like if I do the Gematria backwards, right, into the letters. Which is really cool. But we're about to enter the inner order, and so there's a few people here that are going to have different names in a moment. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to step away for a moment to heat my coffee, but before I do that, I'm going to read both. And again, just a couple sentences of each. I'm reading number 12 and number 6. In that order. Okay. And then I'm going to just heat up my coffee, and I'll be back. But we'll leave you with these two statements, and then I'm going to come back and talk about them. And when I come back, we will be in the inner order. Okay, the first one is chapter 12. These are the axioms from Kybalion. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Let's just start. The Kybalion. Okay. By the three initiates and Hermes. Which, Trismegistus, the three initiates. I mean, he is, they are, it's the, Anyway. So we're going to start with number 12, which is causation. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. My favorite line ever. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. That's awesome. How beautiful is that? This was written a very long time ago, too. Like a really long time ago. Okay, chapter 6. the divine paradox. The half-wise, recognizing a comparatively unreality of the universe, imagine that they may defy its laws. Such are vain and presumptuous fools, and they are broken against the rocks and torn asunder by the elements of reason of their folly. The truly wise, knowing the nature of the universe, use law against law, the higher against the lower, and by the art of alchemy transmute that which is undesirable into that which is worthy, and thus triumph. Mastery consists not in abnormal dreams, visions, and fantastic imaginings or lives, but in using the higher forces against the lower, escaping the pains of the lower planes by vibrating on the higher. Transmutation, not presumptuous, pardon me. Want to get the sentence right for context. Transmutation, not presumptuous denial, is the weapon of the master. I feel I should read that last paragraph again. Mastery consists not in abnormal dreams, visions, and fantastic imaginings or livings. Now, this is what we're talking about with, well, I'll get to the commentary later. But in using the higher forces against the lower, escaping the pains of the lower planes by vibrating on the higher. Transmutation, not presumptuous denial, is the master and the weapon of the master. So consider that. Transmutation, not presumptuous denial. Okay? And so I'm just going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about that and make sense of it and find the truth in it. All right? And how do we find the truth? Every second has a third. So I'll be right back. me take a quick sip because I made a bigger cup than usual and I just want to top it off. Yeah, I'm a big fan of dark coffee. Just love it. So, where do we leave off? Let's take a look here. Oh, how great. Yeah, it's going to be weird. What we were doing is taking letters. So Christ has returned would be CHR and doing the letters, or and just looking at the like Lamed Val Lamed and so forth, Kof Val Kof, and or this would be Kof He Resh, and doing the math. It's really cool. And actually, in Book of Thoth, you'll see the charts that allow you to do that, right? And actually, let me grab mine. I happen to have a copy right here. Your next book, by the way, and let me introduce, or not rather introduce, but let me address you properly. My gosh, man. You are in the Inner Order. Okay, so don't worry, I memorized your name. I'm just, looking at something else. Okay. That's how you know it was totally Madolista Shire. So the next book you're going to get is Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot by Milo DuQuette. And it is the companion to this. DuQuette is the foremost living authority on the Thoth Tarot, and this is the truth and secret. And read it, live it. It is everything you need to find that, to be this person. Okay? That is the truth told openly. Now, you can't start with that sometimes, because it's like, okay, wow. And it's sort of like, maybe stops you from looking because you think it's all there, but you haven't. You'll know. And so these two together are, obviously it is a third, but these two together are everything. And so, and also don't forget Purdy. So we got Purdy and Maddie. And I believe Shushu is not feeling great, so I'm not sure if I'm going to see him tonight. I might, but if not, if you're just listening, you don't have to chat. And if you're not here, then I'll speak to you soon. But that said, let's just look through Thoth real quick, and so we can see like where's that chart that you need to look at, and look right away in the back. You want bam, there's like knowledge. Why did he pick those four? Right. Why are those particular cards there? I don't know. Maybe if we took the numbers and did letters and read words, I don't know. Maybe we should play with that at some point here on the channel. Maybe you should play with it alone tonight. All right? Just good stuff. Look at the charts. Great charts. Good book. It's got some good stuff in here. Okay. There's the colors, for the different. Anyway, there's good stuff. This is the chart. There it is. Okay. The letters, the cards, the words spoken or spelled. And important, you take the letter Aleph and it means one, but what does the word Aleph mean? Aleph Lamed, right? And so does the hey, pay, hey, right? And so that means something. There's a number there. And so you spell the word Aleph, and it's a different meaning than if you just, right? Same thing with the holy name. The holy name is Yud He Vav He. However, you can spell the word Yud. You can spell the word He. Totally different math. Right? It's very good stuff. And so that's a biggie. Good charts, right? And now there's other really great stuff in here, which I'll let you kind of do on you. Oh, what is that? Is that the Tree of Life? What did I just see? Was that what I thought? With the I Ching on it? It's almost like you can use that like a Rosetta Stone to compare it to the tarot. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. That guy's a genius. Right? And so it's a really, really good tool for sort of just unlocking languages, right? It's a biggie. Great book. You're going to love it. And DuQuette takes that and says, here's what it means. And so it's a really, really great combination of those two books. Highly recommend it to anybody who wants to approach this from the esoteric level. And I also recommend it from the people who want to just get a good sense of where all these meanings come from, these symbols, the techniques for how the math is done and stuff. It's how the clock works. So if you just want to tell time, that's okay, and stick to the channel, and that works. If you want to see how the clock works, Book of Thoth and, DuQuette, and anything Milo DuQuette has ever written, anything Crowley's ever written. If you have the tenacity to work through it, it's not very approachable from the outer order type perspective. Crowley stuff. However, DuQuette's is. DuQuette's is designed for a child to read it and get it. And so that's good stuff. So let me grab Kabbalion. And let's go over those again real quick. Causation. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. Okay, where's my? Let me grab a. I'll use my my wand. I love this. My sister got me these because she knows that I love the redemption story, right? And she knows that I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, I was born in 1975, so you want to talk about being in the sweet spot. But I'll just use my wand here to keep that page. And I want to just grab something here. I mean, what are we trying to do? We're trying to decode, find the truth. And so I happen to have a really cool device that I use to do just that, right? And it works. And it's really, really cool how this process can be seen. You can see it, you can hear it, and then you can see it without your eyes and hear it without your ears. And that's what we're trying to do here. So let's just read this statement. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to the law, the divine order. Right? Chance is but a name for the law not recognized, right? Putting it in the incorrect order and just reading cards without recognizing this upper world even exists, right? Most people think this is the complete tarot. Turns out this is the complete tarot. And so chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. Okay? How beautiful. The truth is there. The tarot tells the story if you know how to use it. If you know how to use it. An imprisoned person with no other book than the tarot, if he knew how to use it, could in a few years acquire universal knowledge and would be able to speak on all subjects with unequaled learning and inexhaustible eloquence. Wait a minute, what's that in the back of the death card? Oh yeah, those are those two pillars in the moon, right? That's where the hermit lives, but that can't be because the sun's rising. The sun's rising in the back of the death card. Okay. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. What's that number 13? Oh, you mean like half the God number. So it's like half the story of God? I don't know. That seems a little heavy, dude. Let's just go back to that other thing. That was cool. So you get the idea here, right? Now let's go back to number 6. The divine paradox. The half-wise recognizing the comparative unreality of the universe, imagine that they may defy its laws. Such are vain and presumptuous fools. Right, this is the world we're talking about here, right? They are broken against the rocks and torn asunder by the elements by reason of their folly. There's no actual exchange of the elements. The truly wise, knowing the nature of the universe, use laws against laws. The algorithm. The higher against the lower. Right? And what does that mean? apply the algorithm and the divine order with the key to the inner sanctum, the higher against the lower, and by the art of alchemy, transmute that which is undesirable into that which is worthy, and thus triumph. Now, undesirable, right? This is what I mean. This is another card which I haven't really talked about a lot. I always do the descent. I always do the estrangement. I don't do the ascent too often, do I? The restoration. But it's empty. It's almost like death. It's like the cups are empty. There's no air. There's no fire. Like, and everything's, these two are swapped suddenly. It's a very strange place, right? Mastery consists not in abnormal dreams, visions, and fantastic imaginings or livings, but in using the higher forces against the lower, escaping the pains of the lower planes by vibrating on the higher. Transmutation, not presumptuous denial, is the weapon of the master. All right? Okay, you get the gist there? That's what we're talking about here. It's just great stuff. And the idea is understanding that within any object that enters your perception is an oracle that points to the truth, if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And so, if you have a question, when will I get married to my boyfriend? You can observe the next phenomena that enters your perception and apply the tools. What are the tools? The order, the vortex, right? These things, the algorithm. But these are just words. Understand the opposite nature, that every two has a third. Black and white are opposites, but they're not. They're the same thing, and they have an opposite, which is color. Apply that algorithm again. Black and white and color are opposites, but they're not. They're the same thing, the opposite being gray, shades, value, frequency, right? And so, keep applying that rhythm, or that algorithm, and you get truth. And so it's the idea here. When will I get married to my boyfriend? Okay, well, let's just observe the first phenomena. And this is literally how tarot works, right? The Nine of Swords. This is the stage of the ascent. This is the idea of the lament, where the bottom has turned away and the top is attempting to fill, but it's not happening. Now, the energy that this represents is Gemini and Mars, right? Mars in Gemini. And so Mars in Gemini refers to the fact that there is a competing agenda. There's a competing will. And that competition is within one of you two people. This doesn't refer to Gemini. You'd think, oh, it's two. No, it's one, right? It's the twins. And so one of you two in this circumstance with respect to your boyfriend has this level of conflict where there's two competing wills going on within that person. They want to, but they don't. Or they're deciding between two people. But there's a decision that's happening in their mind. And it's a mental activity, and it's actually... it's difficult for them emotionally, right? Does everyone see that? See how I did that? And so you get the idea here. Now I could read the card as the normal one and, take a look at the Nine of Swords and do that whole thing, and that's cool too. Apply the idea of nine, apply the idea of the sword, apply the idea of the particular decadent system and all that stuff. And ultimately what matters is that you sort of, here's the point, The idea here is, one of you needs to overcome this conflict for that to happen, is what I'm saying. So the answer is not a yes or no about next year. Is it possible? Yes. Okay, so the answer is yes, it's possible. Anything's possible. Anything is possible. It's more of a question of what do we need to do to make that happen, or to recognize that it shouldn't, right? And be okay with that. That's the real question. And so let's apply it and let's see. You're asking a very important question here, and I'm just going to rephrase it. And so what we're trying to do is find truth, right? Questions give you answers. Questions and answers are the same thing. They're not opposites. What's the opposite of those two things? Truth. That's what we're seeking. We're not seeking answers. That leads to questions. Questions lead to answers, lead to questions. Playing with toys. You could do Gematria till the end of time, and you're never going to come to the truth. It's a pointer, but it's not the answer, right? It's that same idea. So we are looking for truth here. And the truth of this question is it possible to be married next year? Of course it is. But let's really get at what needs to be done to make that happen. Because whenever you have two conflicting ideas in your head, what we're really looking at is the fact that you are not using the divine order. Therefore, you are receiving divine mind in your mind. It's a fancy way of saying that the conflict that's occurring here is two swords, right? And if you're able to say, okay, wait, I can't do that. That doesn't work. That just clangs, right? That actually is literally indicative of a fight. Two swords. However, let's do the math and apply the algorithm, which I just put my cards away, and I should learn my lesson by now to keep them out for the whole stream. Michael. Okay. If the order is incorrect, it doesn't work. This is the correct order, just to be clear. What this means is you receive mind in your heart, not your head. That's why they're not clanging, because this is going into your heart. You receive the heart into your mind. You feel the knowing. Feel the knowing and know the feeling. These are different. You want to put divine mind in your heart, put divine heart in your mind. Okay? So what this is referring to is the conflict of the two swords. It's because of the Gemini energy. The two conflicting swords, which just basically means what you're doing is you're trying to do this, and it's not working, right? Those two swords are not going to come together. You need to just shift everything over the way it's supposed to, and bang. So what's going to happen is that these two conflicting ideas are going to resolve. And so one of them is going to disappear, and one of them is going to become the primary thought. And now which one should be the primary thought and which one should be abandoned? Well, I think, I don't know, truth sounds good. And so how do we decide what that is? How do we annihilate the two? Well, realize that they're not opposites. Make them the same thing. Find the opposite, and you've answered your question. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go through that exercise. What we're trying to do here is to swap you into the ability to hear in your heart and feel in your head. Okay, how do you think, how do you get thoughts in your heart? It's the idea of, for instance, looking at a painting and getting a sensation from it. Here. Right? Seeing is a mental activity. Processing what you're seeing is a mental activity. Feeling what you processed is an emotional one. So forget about listening. If this is you, whatever those two conflicting ideas are, it doesn't even matter. What it's referring to is the mechanical process of communication not being able to happen because you're clanging swords. So what I'm going to say to you is that you need to practice hearing in your heart. Okay? And you need to practice feeling in your head. What did that feel like? Where did that come from? Was it my feeling, or was it just a gut reaction? Do I want something and so I'm trying to justify it, right? And so you have to examine your feelings after you felt them. It happens in this order. Feel first, think later. Because what happens is if you overthink, you're going to inform your feelings, and then you're going to block this communication. And you don't want to do that. The idea is to let this flow. And so, if it's him or they, I don't know, that is the one that is having that conflict, the same thing needs to happen, but what you can do is to use that as a means of communication, right? So you would speak to him in that language. You would speak to him basically with the intent of saying, I need you to hear me in the heart. So here's what, and say to him, I feel this way, and I want to know where you are, and what are your thoughts about this, and kind of honestly have that conversation, but don't speak to his mind. Speaking to people's minds doesn't work. Speaking to people's hearts, well, that might be what this conflict is. There is this internal conflict between one of you. If you're not feeling the conflict, then it must be him, right? And so there is these competing ideas, and what you have to be able to identify is that competing idea, whether or not he wants to get married to begin with, or is he choosing between two people? Do you have a reason to think that he's choosing between two people? Don't forget, this process is a conversation, right? And so is there a reason for you to believe that he would have somebody else that he has his eye on? Like, it seems like if you're coming and asking, I'm going to leave it open. If you're coming and asking, then obviously you have some inkle that something's going on, right? And so, I don't know. And as far as tarot, I'll be happy to address that question once we get back to the outer order. That was really just a demonstration for the inner order, but at the same time answered your question. That was an answer. Answers don't provide truth; they provide questions, which is, what happened here. But what we are going to get to the answer when I get back to the outer order, and then we'll do a straight up tarot reading and answer your question. Okay, Shinab? And so that's that. So now you get the gist here, the beauty of this concept, and it can be seen everywhere. You just have to have the eyes to see. Just kind of make some room here. I want to ask the room really quickly. Is the music too loud? I can never tell, and sometimes I think it might be on my side, like echoing through the mic, or is everything okay? If it's echoing, tell me. Incidentally, this is a lightsaber chopstick. That's what this is. I use chopsticks all the time. I kind of like them. I use them for pasta noodles. My favorite are like fat rigatoni noodles, and I actually eat my rigatoni with chopsticks. It's not a joke. And so to get a pair of chopsticks that was lightsabers that were Darth Vader, which is like kind of the redemption story, it worked for me. My sister loves me. I love my sister. So, 6-word stories. That's so much fun. Did Maddie miss that? There's a bunch of good ones here. There's that noise again. I'm scared, right? That's a 6-word story. We'll never make it out alive. Good stuff. There's a bunch in here that are neat. Some of them are kind of a little personal, but my God, she is so beautiful. And you know what's funny about that? You can take that 14 ways. Like, apply that to a puppy. Picture a little kid at a window like, oh my God, she's so beautiful, right? Or you can, have this person that's totally enamored by another person. Or you can, how about like a dude in a tight black t-shirt with a pack of cigarettes rolled up, and he's looking at a Mustang. Those 6 words can be any story, right? Any observable phenomena can be, right? So that's the gist. There is one thing I wanted to actually mark, because I want to read it to you guys later, and it's I wrote you something. This is for everyone in the room. I wrote it actually a while back, and I didn't realize that it was for you, but then I read it again today. I was looking for something else in this book, and I bumped into that, and I was like, oh wait, and I just read it again. I enjoy reading it. It's one of those things where, like, you write a piece of music and you can only hear it when you play it. Same idea. So I like reading it every once in a while. and I recognized what it was, which is it's for you. So all of you, everyone here listening, and everyone that's listening in the room that is not, hey, I want to watch this, but rather is hearing it second, it's for you also. And so, sorry, my magician had his tools knocked off of his little temple. Here's my little John D. I don't know if anyone knows who John D is. If you don't know that name, look him up. D-E-E, John D. Oh, did you miss? Yeah, you have to go back and check it out later at some point. Oh, I'll look for it though. It's no rush, but I can't wait. And so let's just peruse the notes. I think I have a pretty good pace today. I don't know. Yeah, you know, I wrote something yesterday that I just want to share again because it's one of these. For me, it's a little gem, and so you know, if you find this useful, then share it. Enlightenment is not a journey or a destination; it's a conversation. I love that. There's so much in there. In order to remember, we must forget. Yeah, okay, so I think I got. Yeah. Went through the axioms. Okay. Great. So, did you wow, I just lost my train of thought. I read the chat while I was thinking, and the chat, and so it was like, oh, your brother's a Star Wars fan too? Yeah, that's. It was funny how formative that was in my thinking as a child. You know, really, truly. So I guess I completed the what I wanted to talk about, and the inner order, just with respect to applying it to the two verses of the axioms in Kybalion. And you know, there's a lot of truth in both of those. And if you want to hear them again, that's why I keep these up. Just kind of rewind and listen to them. Or get the book or look it up. You can find Kybalion online for free at sacredtext.org, sacred-texts.org, and it has every sacred text ever published by man and woman and alien. And so, but all kidding aside, I don't know if any of these people are aliens. Some of them claim to be. But there's real stuff in here. The Bible, a lot of Kabbalah, the Vedas, all of it's here. Book of Shadows, Talmud. It's just go there, and here, let me get you the link, and you will also be able to find. You will also be able to find Kybalion, Emerald Tablet, and all that other stuff too, including all of, not 100% of the documents, but all of the public documents for Thelema, which all the Crowley stuff. I'm warning you, it's esoteric stuff, but it's great. Look at it as a psychedelic poetry at first, and then start decoding it later. Take it in emotionally first, and then with the sword, right? Same thing with you, Maddie. When you're reading Crowley's Filth, obviously you are an experienced person. But if this is the first time you're cracking this book, you thought you were a black belt, you were a red belt, and you're about to, go through some stuff, man. That's a great book. And that said, though, approach it with the cup first. Just take it in. Don't try to think. Just read it. Read it, and then go back. Drink it, and then go back. And when you go back, it's going to be like powerful stuff. The whole book's great. So yeah, I wrote this a long time ago. There was a period of time where I went through some stuff, and let's just say I didn't have access to my tools to paint or draw or whatever the case may be. And so, but I did have access to, same here, never stop learning. I learn every day. There's a few people that I get gems from every day. that I'm like, wow, why didn't I ever think of that? And then I share it. And if I have any gems that I feel like I can drop, I do it all the time, right? So I started writing. Right? You can't paint without paintbrush, right? But I had my book, and I had my books, and I had, like my computer, which I had old stuff on it I can read, and whatever the case may be. And I was in a mental state that was really kind of rough. So a bunch of stuff went on, like a lot of death and a lot of loss and a lot of it was crazy. It was my tower, like, for real. And so I started writing, and I'd never written before. This was about 10 years ago, I guess, a little less, a little more. I started writing for some reason. And so I wrote this, and then later on I read it and realized that it was channeled and it was truth. And then I read it again today and realized that it is, it's not for me, but it is. But it's for everyone. Okay? And it used to be called, it had a different name. And so I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to tell you the original title. And then I'm going to tell you the new title. Okay. I might have read it here before, I'm not sure. I watched it swim in an endless sea of sapphire, the full luminescence of its gift, casting its love without regard, that perfect gem of light heading for its rest behind the world, where it succumbs daily to the departure, without sadness but hope, waiting patiently for our eyes to meet its love again. The sea began to change from the deep azure of passage to 1,000 shades of pink and gold, painting my soul in the colors of love. Again, as quickly as it came, it was gone, evolving into passion, into a crescendo of deep orange and red, like the first kiss after hearing the first I love you. Again, with the same speed and vigor, the change continued. Now only it was carried with a veil of darkness, studded with the wishes of 1,000 dreams, blending into the red so that it was impossible to tell the difference between union and desire. Or was it silence? Finally, the veil, drawn completely, was the last spark of light giving into that dark entirely, and thus was the birth of you. Now, originally it was called the birth of night, and I crossed off the word night, and I wrote the letter U. And the new name is Happy Birthday. So, there's a few things I wanted to discuss today. And I think they're pretty powerful. The one that I want to really focus on, it's really the goal of what we're doing here. I call transforming fear. And there's a special secret at the end that unlocks this whole thing. It rang with me at the time in a totally different way, and now it is everything I'm talking about, and it's beautiful to see that. And you know, I didn't do it, but I could have taken out that deck and told that story, you know. Okay. And did I have that? I have it here. I have to remember where I put the cards. Give me a moment, I'm sorry. Yeah, writing, producing, directing, all at the same time is, it's a juggling act. And she'll have to pardon me for forgetting where I put this. And I'm ashamed to say I don't remember where I put the cards. I remembered. Isn't that it? I know. You know, if you have ever done any kind of creative writing, go back and read it. You're going to be like, man, I came up with that? Where did that come from? That's like beautiful. There's a couple of things that I've written that are just so moving to me. And, you know, a lot of it is just, you know, to quote George Carlin, brain droppings. But, you know, some of it is so profound that I'm like, I can't, but where did that come from? And it turns out it's channeled. That's the reason. That's the reason that you're reading it instead of writing it. You know, that's a biggie. So yeah, I just wanted to have this up here. Now, there's an interesting thing that happened yesterday. And I think she might be here. I forget who actually mentioned it. Was it Brianna? I forget. That mentioned that in the image that I have shared of my that entity when I was approaching the abyss. Empirically, that's true, but that depends on your perspective. Some people would say that I just began, and you know, on this path, but and you know that they saw death in the card, right? Or there's some kind of like, and so I thought, you know what, that's interesting. Let me pop up the death card and look at them together. It's so amazing when the stuff comes together, I tell you what. And so thank you, whoever, I forget who it was, I'll have to go back to the chat, but had mentioned, oh, it might have been Lauren, but somebody had mentioned that there was death in the, like over his shoulder, that she saw the face of the death card. And so let's pop the cards up. Oh, what is that in the back? You know, above the head of the Pope person there by those pillars that you see in the moon card, right? That one time I mentioned that's where the hermit lives, because it's in the darkness. Well, that can't be, though, because the sun's shining. It's like the sun's rising, right? You see the sun rising on either side of those pillars. It's rising through the thing there, and it's clearly rising. It has this sense of like, you know, some view it as a sunset, but we know that to not be true because we already know that this process here. If you're looking at the order in one direction, it's one thing, but if you're looking at it, you know, divinely, then you're going to say maybe that's a sunrise, not a sunset. And if it's a sunrise, it has a totally different implication. And now, so I decided to take a look at these two cards together. Okay, and then when I did that, something very interesting happened. Now, I just want to be clear, and if anyone wants to challenge this, I encourage that, because you want to be confident in what you're seeing. I'm happy to share with you the metadata of the original JPEG of this, like the one that I have to email and stuff. Okay, so it's 7 or 8 years old, right? This picture happened quite a while ago. The experience happened a very long time ago, but the drawing, right? Look up in the corner above the head, right? Up in the corner there, above the head, is this these two kind of pillar-looking things, and there's that light coming out, almost as if those pillars are kind of like shining light down. It's kind of in between him and his shadow. I mean, in between this figure and that figure's shadow is these pillars that with the light shining through. It's just, so he is the death card. So he is. But we also know who else he is, right? Because again, I have the experience of communicating with this person. And there you go. Empress, High Priestess. Okay, great. Let's move death back to where originally. And what are we speaking about today? We're speaking about transforming fear is what I'm calling this. You? Okay, Boaz and Yakin. They also mean severity and mercy. The only reason I'm saying this is because it's published. This is Masonic stuff, but Boaz, B-O-A-Z, it's a word, and Yakin, J-A-C-H-I-N. They're just They're just words. That's all they are. But anyway, though, they also represent the two pillars, the two columns of the Kabbalistic tree of life, right? Like we've seen this before. The two columns of the black one on the left and the white one. All right, and now that is that question's pertinent very much to what I'm doing here, because that those two pillars are the reason that we don't swap those outer elements, and we only swap the cup and the sword in the higher world. That's why. That's literally why. Because they're pinned to the columns, so they don't swap. And what does that mean? That means that divine will and our will is kind of in union, sort of, right? Like they don't, same thing with divine body and profane body, right? So, see what I'm talking about here? So these are the two pillars. This is the ones in between. The two pillars, and this is here and here, mercy and severity, and then you have this exchange going on right here. When done properly, is represented, at least in the descent, with those Sephiroth in the middle and the ones on the outside in the middle. Not the three on top. And again, I'm not here to necessarily teach Kabbalah directly, but that's a very powerful Kabbalistic truth, and this is my key to unlocking what that means. Right? I've had it presented to me in 20 ways, and I've never had it presented like this, and it was like, when this hit me, it was pure clarity. And this is the ascent, which is the reverse tree, right? Well, none of them are true. That's the truth told openly. There is no tree. There was no descent. You never left. That deck is a lie. I tell the story all the time about strength, courage, power. Your will finds a target, an object of desire. You do the work, you build the plan, you gather the troops. It's time to fight. You're nervous. It means a lot to you. You want it. It's like important. It's like, I want this. Oh, I need this job. I want that girl. I need this thing. I want people to like this recipe that I made and worked on. Like, you care. So you're scared. So what your body does, your mind does, and your soul does when they get together is they hug your heart, and they're like, courage happens. What is courage? Acting while afraid, right? So it gives you this little boost to be able to still fight, even though you're scared, and that's called courage. Now, what happens when you're in the midst of the fight and you're winning? You don't need the courage anymore because you lose the fear. Courage doesn't exist without fear. It's a necessity that's created because of the fear. Fear gives birth to courage. Fear disappears. Courage is no longer necessary. It's like it never existed. However, the energy that was raised during the process of your body giving you the courage is still there. And so you get to transform that into power. And so you walk out of that situation in a state of knowing, confidence, and you're not afraid any longer. And you're also not courageous any longer. You are correct in yourself. There's like a rightness that comes from that. And that rightness is strength, which is why when you look at the strength card, you don't see, that's you during the fight. You see a very pleasant, calm woman petting a lion. There it is. That is the truth that unlocks the power to transform self. And now what happens when you do that? What happens when you do that is that you can transform fear. Because what are we talking about with power? Power is taking courage and using the opportunity of it going away to replace it with something else. That's kind of the idea. We're going to expand on that in a minute. And what happens is that there's now this empty space, and that empty space can be filled with a new direct will that is now based on the fear being gone, and so it's a new will. The old one isn't there, and now the fear isn't there either, and so the fear is gone, and the new will is directed towards something much more true. So how do we do that? Everything I just said sounds really great, but what are the actual steps? Like, give me the action. I always talk about, like, you know, I like to talk on the channel and have conversations about this stuff, but you know, I want to give you like a do, because that's where shit gets done, and that's what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to we have a goal, right? We have a target, we have a vector, we have an object of our desire, and we want our will to be done. And so if we're having trouble because we're afraid, and we live in a state of constant fear, there's kind of an opportunity there, because what that means is that we have a device to give us the first component we need to make that transformation. We need courage, but courage doesn't happen without fear. So if you're afraid, you're halfway there. How awesome. And so all we have to do now is say, okay, well, let's talk for a minute. What fear? What am I afraid of? The anticipation of harm. Anticipation is living in the future, which doesn't exist. Right? At least not down here. And most of the time what fear is, and anticipation is a product of personality. Right? It's a product of your mind. Whose? Yours. You don't want your mind. You want God's heart in your mind. You want your higher self's love into your mind. And so what this is about is having the power to empty your cup and let it be filled with divine mind. Because when you do that, there is no fear. There never was. It was a product of your mind. It was your ego telling you should be afraid so that it can decide how to direct you. And we have the power to take agency back from our ego, to take agency back from that middle self that allows us to confuse our higher mind trying to talk to us with it. And we can destroy that ego. Because what is that ego? It is our personality, which we need to communicate, die daily. So what I'm saying is that you can't destroy it, but what you can do is recognize what it actually is. And then you get to use it. This is not who I am. This is a character I'm playing to talk to people. And we do that with everyone we talk to. We all pretend, right? I'm an empty slate that was just filled with information that I identified with, but that's not who I am. Who am I? I don't know. But I know this. I love dark coffee. That's who I am. Right now I'm being me. Love that. What are you afraid of? You were born at the beginning of time and you exist at the end of time, watching yourself, waiting for yourself to catch up to the truth. Why can we use these tools to see the future and it work? Because we already lived it. And so we know how it ends. So what is there to be afraid of? Fear is not an actual thing. It's a shape. And it can be molded in the exact technique that I talked about. And what happens when that happens is that you are able to kind of peer through that veil a little bit. You can peek around it a little bit and get a tiny sliver of that truth, and just enough sometimes. Sometimes that's enough. Bang! It's immediate, it's instant. And the moment that that thunderclap hits your heart, all that junk disappears, just like the courage. It's like it never existed. It never existed. Why? Because it's no longer necessary. Why do people use drugs? To the point that they do bad things to their bodies to make money to go get drugs. Because they're filling that with the wrong thing. Now, when they realize the truth, that necessity disappears immediately. So, it's powerful. I recommend highly that you watch that a couple times. Pause it every once in a while and sit on the words. Go back. Right now, I just want you to take it in emotionally, and later on, I want you to watch it again and look at it mentally, and it will ring. It's powerful and it works. And why do I say that? That's because it's empirical. I've seen it happen. I've done this with people who were in serious pain. I've mentioned here on the channel before that a lot of my friends are hookers and prostitutes. And why is that? Because drug addicts, violent homeless people, they just need their cup filled with the right thing. And it's not love. They're not in a position to receive that in the right way. They will receive love in the mind when you allow them to receive divine mind in their hearts. The knowing. When they feel that knowing, they're in a position to receive love truly. Some people are so hungry they can only see God in the form of bread. And their bread is crack. So feed them. They won't be hungry. The hunger disappears. It works. So we kind of went pretty. I'm looking at 2 hours and I'm done. So I'm gonna. I'm no doubt that coffee needs some heating up. I'm going to do that. And then we're going to come back, and then we're going to go right back into the outer order, throw cards, have fun, play games, process what just happened here from a totally different place, and I'll be right back, okay? So thank you, everyone who listened, and when I come back, we're going to do a lot of fun stuff, and so I can encourage you to stick around, and if you don't, I love you anyway. Like my video. hope that was insightful. And if it is, like my video, and if it isn't, like it and comment. And if you really hate my face, my voice, and my channel, like it, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell. So, because I stream on random times and you want to catch them, if you want to catch them, hit the bell. If you don't, like I said, you hit the bell, subscribe, comment, and you can throw $1 at me. That'd be good too. But only if you hate me. So, that said, let me catch up on the chat because we're going to have some fun. We're jumping back into the outer order. So, that means readings, fun, playing with our toys, right? And so that's what we're going to do. Let's start with, all right, we went over Boaz and Yakin. Right, yeah, okay. Kibbs is here. Oh, hey, Kibbs. You realize that is your princess. Right? That's the... I mean, because don't forget what the name meant. The name meant like you were the vision, and that was the house of the vision. She gave birth. He, she. Doesn't forget the gender of the cat for a minute. Gender and polarity are different things. They are different. And that is your princess that gave birth to your element, which is the vision of sight, right? Let's see what else here. I've been tested in terms of fear countless times, right? My fear level changed completely into something that helps me. Well, good. Then that's important. Like, and another thing you have to recognize too is that fear is always actually an opportunity. You know what that means? Is that he's a girl up there. Right? That's your princess. And all he is the new prince. So you get the gist? You know, fear is an opportunity to transform it into power and to transform it into will, true will. But you have to listen with your heart, not your head. I love working at the food pantry. Yeah, you know, that's good stuff too. I've done that. And there's something to be said for feeding people. You know, whether it being on the cook side or kind of sitting out with people and just eating and talking, there's something to that. If people, every church out there that's doing that, just look up a local church that has some type of thing like a food pantry, a soup kitchen or something. You're gonna feel good feeding people, right? It feels good to feed people. There's something about it. I don't know. Try it sometime. I tell you what, buy a homeless dude a burger. Like, it feels good. And that's not just because it feels good, but because you recognize that the exchange here, the give and receive, you know? And also there's a beauty in reception. That's a very profound secret. One of the best ways to give something to somebody is to receive. When someone wants to do something for you, take it and be happy in front of them because you're giving them the joy of the reception. And so it's the ultimate bestowal. We do not have the power to create, but we do have the power to bestow. And giving to somebody is easy. Here's $1. It's easy. Being able to receive shamelessly and to give that person the joy of being able to see you enjoy their gift is a big deal. Let them have it. Right? And keep in mind too, when you are, for those who aren't familiar with this kind of work, it's a shameless act. You're two people sitting and eating. Both of you have nothing. There's no ownership of that food. You think, oh yeah, well I work for a living. Get over yourself, man. The food you're eating came from the ground, and if it weren't for the food that came from the ground, you would not be eating. So yeah, you earn the money to buy it, whatever that means. And actually, the best food you don't have to buy. Just ask Missy. I saw some pictures today that belong on the cover of a magazine. Can I show them? Can I show the one? I just want to show that one. The one with when you have the beautiful greens and I mean, just like, so you don't even need it. But that said, though, those aren't her tomatoes. Those were a gift from God. Those, you know, the seeds that she bought with the money she earned came from a company. And where'd the company get them from? And where'd they come from? They came from seeds that had nothing to do with us. So when you're sitting down feeding somebody, make sure that you have this idea that you're not doing them a favor. You're equals sitting down and having a meal together. Okay, good. I have to pop a picture up. All right. My stream, my internet's a little weird, and I'm on a laptop, which is a Core i7. Okay. And so it might skip it a little bit while I'm using Chrome, so just bear with me, but I have to just pop up this picture here, and I don't have it saved on my computer, and so it might get a little funky, and I apologize for that. But this picture's worth it, really, because it really just goes right to the heart of what I'm talking about here. I'll watch that video later. Okay, I see it's in here. But it goes to the heart of what I'm trying to talk about here about food. And you know, this important point. Yeah, let's not put it there. Let's put it there. Okay, what's this called? No, I'm not going to call it that. We'll call it Bounty of the Princess. That's a really cool name for an image. Okay. Wait till you see it. You know why I picked that. All right. So let me share it. Really, 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 really beautiful image, and this is really everything, isn't it? This is what we're talking about, right? What we're talking about is, you know, you're not alive. You're life. You are equal to this. This is life. Life begets life. Just consider the fact that everything you eat used to be alive. Everything. Fear? Pfft. Do you think that kale or those peppers are afraid of being eaten, or they can't wait to be part of you? You should not be able to wait to be where you are. Die daily. And when you do, and I do every day, when you do, you get to wake up empty. And you get to fill it now with divine mind and divine love. And whose love? Yours. Isn't that gorgeous? Come on. Look at those peppers. By the way, stick this up on photo sharing websites. Charge $5 for a one time and about $2.50 for a reoccurring license, and you're looking at 10 grand on this image in a year and a half. I would color grade it. Provide the raw as well, but color grade it. So get the idea of the beautiful bounty of this image, okay? Like, not a joke. Oh, peaches. Peaches. There's something about it. It's true. I will say, though, I'm not a fan of peach flavor. Isn't that something? I love peaches. Love, love, love them. I don't like peach tea. I'm not a fan of the flavored stuff. There's a few that get it right on trying to fake fruit flavor, but I haven't bumped into one that I can actually really say, okay, that's the one. But so, anyway, just enjoy this beautiful bounty here and recognize that you are these peppers. And don't be afraid of being eaten. The fact of the matter is that that's how you transform, and that's what that pepper does. Right? So you get the gist. So that said, let's play. You want to call some demons? No, let's not do that. I bet half the room is like, is he kidding? Okay. I was kidding. I think I'm going to do that Saturday. You know what I haven't pulled out in a while? Does everyone remember this silly book I got from my church yard sale? This is the one that gives you like the truth of the sun signs. Like, it's kind of from a silly, fun perspective. Oh, there's a bunch of underlining in that one. The personality of the Leo. Someone was really interested in the personality of the Leo. They underlined it. They underlined Aries. This is Rising. Aries Rising will give Cancer a strong athletic body, an optimistic attitude, strong features, and ruddy coloring. I believe it. You know what I'm a fan of? Plum. Is that just like nature's candy? Really something. Plums are great. They're just... I like plum wine. So yeah, let's do one. We haven't done risings. I've only done sun signs. So let's do. Okay. Well, someone. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Let's do that. Let's do Leo. You don't happen to know your dad's rising, do you? I have somebody's chart right here, but I don't know if she would want me to share it like on the channel. But I happen to have Lauren's chart in my possession. And we could pull out her rising signs. I don't know, but let's see what's in Leo. Oh, by the way, Leo is the prima donna. How great is that? That's just funny stuff. We did this, right? The physical appearance and so on. Personality. Friendship. Parenthood. Okay, well, this is your dad, so let's do parenthood. If you think that naive, childless Leo is simply a pleasure seeker, then you've been deceived. When they become parents, Leos undertake a serious program involving a good deal of hard work. Their children must be well educated, and Leos will even go so far as to instruct their offspring themselves. Here again, pride is the determining force. Leo wants to show how talented and superior his children can be. The child of a Leo regards his parent with a considerable awe. Leo may work him so hard that the child, overburdened with trying to please his parent, has little time for honest play. Both male and female Leos tax the child with lessons in manners, taste, and schooling, more responsibly than a child can bear. The child often fails because too much is expected too soon. If he can bear up, however, and achieve success, he will receive all the love that his adored parent can give. Not sure how to feel about that. Okay, well. I had 2 Geminis as parents. I don't recommend that. Aries rising, Libra rising. Okay, what's your sun? I forgot your sun, Missy. I'm calling you Missy because we're in the outer order. So yeah, I forgot your sun. And then I'll check the rising. And if you want, throw your husband's in there too, and I'll check his Libra rising. Capricorn. The honor seeker. You know what? First of all, Missy, that's why we get along. I'm a Sagittarius. Sagittarius and Capricorns, I don't know. I've always got along with Capricorns. Like famous friends. Like totally. Okay, so physical appearance, personality, love, marriage, parenthood, friendship, career, rising sign. Okay. Aries. Aries will make Capricorn well built, strong, fair, outgoing, and generous. And let's look at hubby. What's his sun? Oh, you're a cusp. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to stick with Cap for the rising. And what's your husband's sun? My mom's a Taurus. Yeah, I have a Taurus moon. I'm a Sag sun, Taurus moon, Capricorn rising. Scorpio. Cool. Scorpio has possibilities for like serious spiritual stuff, man. Those people don't, and sometimes they don't even realize it. Like they touch it because they know the truth, but they're kind of like jacuzzi instead of the pool, which is okay. It's at least an opportunity for them to eventually dawn, you know, like they still have the chance for it to pop. And Scorpios sometimes can do it like they do it naturally and don't realize that they're just walking the truth, it's sort of like frustrating because I had to work for it. It took me a while to get there. It's going to be toward the back. Right, Scorpio. Okay, here we go. Almost. And that's Sagittarius. There we go, Scorpio. The sex-obsessed demoralizer. Okay. And we're looking at, you said he was a Taurus moon? Oh, wait. Libra rising. Libra rising. Scorpio with a Libra rising. Libra rising will give Scorpio great beauty and good manners. A good combination for social success. Well, I can attest that he's not a bad-looking guy, but I don't know about the manners. Does he have manners? Yeah, well, see, that's cool that you have the opportunity to play off each other like that. Because tell me that when you wake him up, that it doesn't wake you back up, right? It reminds you. You know, at least I find that. That's why I love doing this, like waking people up. It's because like it's like a drug. You know, every time that happens, you recognize, you know, we're getting closer. Like as a group, we're moving toward the new age. It's cool, and to participate in it is awesome. But yeah. And also, manners are a social construct, right? How many how many people during COVID like sat in their underwear for 3 days, did not bathe, right? Like we turned into like Joe Dirt. Okay, well, your sun is your outward. That's the face you show the world. Don't forget, the moon doesn't shine light, it reflects it. And so the moon is the reflection of the sun. But however, when you reflect light off a surface, it does pick up some of the thing it's reflecting off of. So if you were to put like green next to a face, you'd see the green reflecting on the face. Or maybe red would be better. It might show up on the camera better. But as an example, let's take a bright red object here. Like if I put... Maybe I need a white surface. Like obviously you'll see the light of red bouncing off of the object if it reflects. It's hard on camera to show that process. But you take a bright colored object and you put it next to your... what's really good is like neon yellow. There's some vinyl from the latest Cricut project, right? But you can see the yellow in my face. That wasn't there a minute ago. So clearly the light is hitting the yellow and coming with it. And then when it bounces off my face into your eye, that yellow is being transferred. The yellow from this is literally traveling through space into your eyeball. Isn't that neat, first of all? But it's reflecting off of my face. So there's information being carried. Even though that photon didn't used to be yellow, now it became yellow. So there's an idea there of like it does kind of carry on. Oh, good, polite. Okay, good. So then there you go. The politeness comes. It actually makes sense. Okay, great. Well, see, here's the thing. If you consider what you actually are, you are not the car you drive. You don't get into your car and become a Ford, right? Or a Chevy or whatever you happen to drive. This is just the car. What we actually are is a counter-rotating energy, right? That's a picture, that's a pointer, that's an icon. That's not what we are. That's a way to just kind of like attempt to point, right? Right, it's an attempt to point at the truth, but each one of these triangles is an empty cup or a cup upside down and right side up, right? One is being filled, and so that's just sort of like the symbolism here. But essentially, each one of these represents the first simplest three-dimensional object, and the other one is the opposite of that in a counter rotation. Now, what happens when those counter rotate is they create a field, like similar to the friction of electrons causing a magnetic field. Imagine that in the shape of a galaxy, right? That's sort of coming out from the middle of this, or I should do it here, right? And then it comes out like that, right? And so it almost looks like a galaxy with this spinning in the middle. And so consider that. And so when you're talking about a light body, what you're referring to is the thing you actually are, which is it's the combination of your consciousness being informed by love and your mind being informed, or your mind being informed by love and your heart being informed by mind, and that constant conversation, right? And so that constant conversation leads to sound, the words being spoken, and that sound creates vibration, which creates a field, and that field, yes, cool, that's awesome. So then, yeah, that's a great example. 3 dots is great as a tattoo for telling the story, right? And so the 4th one makes the 3D object. There's 8 points on here, right? And so there's all kinds of cool symbolism. It's But that said, though, what the light body is, when people talk about that, is the field that this creates, which is literally a reflection of your consciousness. Like it's not it doesn't have it's not corporeal. It's not manifest. It's eternal. It's infinite. And it is the thing that is observing your thoughts. It's the thing that's listening to my voice right now. Your ears are taking it in, but the thing that's listening to it is you. The thing that is observing your thoughts, right? You're not the thinker, your brain is. You're the observer of the thoughts, right? And so what a light body is an infinite point of consciousness, which is the thing that you are. And all that consciousness can do is perceive. That's the same language as all we can do is receive, and all God can do is bestow. Your higher self gives, your lower self receives, and you are the point of reception. All we can do is take in light, take in sound, take in hearing. All we do is take in our universe as a form of receiving. We try to give, but we can't. We try to create, but we can't. We can transform, however. We can take the tomato that God gave us and turn it into banging sauce. We can take a pencil and a piece of paper and create art with it. I can take a sound and turn it into a beautiful word. You know what the most beautiful word is I've heard? Is the sound of your name being spoken. You tell me, Brianna, is it true? Right? So, you can actually take the concept of sound and turn it into a form, which is an emotional response in another person across time and space. And that's not creation, but transformation. And you can do the same thing within yourself by transforming your perception of who you are. Transform the eye you see the world through, because you have to recognize you're not looking through these. You're looking through the thing that's observing what these are taking in. Which book did I miss? But you get the idea, though. So yeah, where else were we on the Taurus, Sun, Aquarius, Moon? Do you know your rising, Luana? Because I want to look it up. It's gonna be cute. Taurus, Sun, Aquarius, Moon too is like, you've got some. Oh, okay. It's funny, I have that as on my website with a link to the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. I use that as well, dots and dashes to make a tree, the Tree of Life, the 10. Yeah. If you don't know, Luana, we can look it up. I'm sure that we can quickly find you rising with... The app that I have is a little kind of complex to get all the data into, so it's not good for streams. It's why I haven't pulled it out and just done charts. unless there's a good source that anybody knows that we can truly trust that the ephemeris is accurate, then I'll go for it. The one I use, I will take to the bank. But I'm sure they're fine. I mean, the ephemeral data comes from one or two sources anyway that they pull in as a feed, right? So, but still, I don't know. I'm a stickler for lineage. You know, I'm a stickler for the source of the information. Cool. Oh, cute. Scorpio rising. You have water there. You have earth there. You have earth, a lot of earth and a little bit of water, right? Let's just look up Luana in the meantime, if she doesn't know her rising. So let's see. Yes, your ascendant, yeah. Let me get to your sign. Taurus, Sun, Aquarius, Moon. This is so opposite of what I believe is the personality of Luana. However, she does have that capacity. Whether or not she reflects it is the beauty of self-knowing, right? That was neat. Let's just be fun. Let's just stick it in there for the heck of it. But so you get the idea, right? The idea that if you know a quality and you don't want to reflect it in a certain way, then you can do the work on that part of your personality. Do the work on that part of yourself that you don't want to give energy to. Aquarius. Oh, Aquarius rising. Okay. So just to be clear, then we have Taurus Sun, Aquarius Moon, and rising. Your moon was in rising at that moment. That's crazy. That's awesome. Okay. That's a beautiful. I want to do your chart. Will you email me your birthday? You don't have to. That's a weird thing. A stranger's like, dude, email me your birthday. And the last 4 digits. No. Okay, Taurus rising. Aquarius rising. Aquarius rising. Okay, let me put it in here so you can see it. Pardon me. Aquarius rising will give Taurus a friendly but cool personality, detached yet interesting. Friendly but cool, detached but interesting. Okay, how do you feel about that? You insensitive bully. Lauren, are you still here? If you're still here, say hi. Okay. Because I'm curious about that's really awesome. That's like, I'm curious what the other influences are. Now, obviously, to do rising and so let's do that privately. But to do rising appropriately and some other things requires location, right? Like actual latitude, longitude, and time of birth. So let's not do that in the chat. Do not put that in the chat. This gives us one thing we can do that now that she's here, and actually I think that Missy came in late on that. I'm going to take Luana's birthday. I'm going to bring it over to the Hebrew, give her a letter for each number, and then speak her birthday, okay? My birthday was a cool word, right? What was it? Above, and then 19 was At. 75 was Ze. Abavaze, or something like that. Abavatze. Yeah, Abavatze. How great is that for a birthday, right? So let's do hers. It's a cool sounding word. I pronounced it with an Italian accent to kind of like hide it, because it's actually spoken in Hebrew, and it's not spoken, it's vibrated. So when you're in the inner order or you're doing religious work or holy work or inner work or energy work, these type of things. You vibrate when you speak. You don't speak, you vibrate, and it comes from the soul. And so, and then you speak, just get the word out so you can speak it. And one way to hide that is to do it in another accent. So 0506, and then, okay. So fiver is going to be, right, hey, and then we're going to do vow. Okay, so first of all, 561 is going to sound like hava. Hava. And now we're going to do 983. 9 is T, te. 8 is ket. Keth. So teka. Takagi. Takagi. So just to clarify, Heva Takagi. Heva Takagi is the sound of your birthday, right? The date. Now you can pronounce it any way you want, but like as far as like how the vowels land can kind of be switched around a little bit. It's sort of like it's sort of like you having an abstract version similar to a sigil, right? By speaking it in any way that you feel is appropriate to you. But that's one of the cool ways that you can speak a number. Kind of like Jehovah, right? Yeshua, Jesus, right? Lucifer, Satan. So, and what are these? They're numbers. The holy and unspeakable name. Why is it unspeakable? Because it's not a word. You try speaking a 72-letter word. It's not 72 letters. It's even bigger than that, right? So, you get the idea. But that's fun. That's playing with toys. But that's fun. However, there's power in that. If you vibrate it, and it's coming from the divine mind, and then going back up through heart, and you're receiving heart and mind during that process, suddenly it has power and it works. Here's the cool part. One of the biggest secrets that's out there, that's not a secret but it is because it's told openly and so people don't believe it, is that it works. And the people who know that are in power. And people who know that are using it to their advantage. Can you say 10/15 2019? Of course I can. Let's take a look. Okay, the zeros we're dropping, just to be clear. There's some people have said, well, we should all do it as Aleph for the Fool, which represents a 0, but that's different. That's tarot. We're looking at strictly Gematria, right? So we're just looking at the numerology of the word. So what we're going to do is 1 is Aleph, and so you have 2 Ahs. The 5 is going to sound like A or Hey, right? The 2 is going to be Bet or Be. The 1 will be an A again, and then the 9 we're looking at Tet, right? So we're looking at Ahabeyate. Aha. Beate. Beautiful. So yeah, you get the gist. And now let's find a way to pronounce it. Like, I don't know, let's pick an accent. I'm pretty good at accents. Let's do an accent. Let's do an old Jewish mother from Brooklyn. Aha, Beati. All right, let's do a Japanese. Oh, Beati. Let's do I don't know, what's a cool accent? Well, it comes down to really knowing the truth and trying to forget once you know it, and just be. Is that how it's spelled? There's one I want to do next, which we're going to grab a random book that somebody out there says. Are you really? It's the better half. But so all kidding aside, we're going to pick a book by random, and then we're going to, or one of you will pick the book by random, then one of you is going to pick a number by random, not the person who picked the book, and then the third person is going to pick a number down, and then we're going to take that first sentence, take the first letter of each word, do the Gematria, and read the message, all right? And we're all going to have, this is for everybody here. That's why there needs to be 3 people involved in this decision. That isn't me. That is going to go through this process, and since I'm reading the book, okay? So the first thing I want to do is, let's just pick a name. I'm looking at the chat, and the 3 names I see are Brianna, Missy, Luana. Okay, so let's start from the top. Luana. Pick a book. So we have, I'm just going to name a couple. This is Emerald Tablet Kabbalion, 777, the Magical Books of Solomon, Lemegaton, Complete Picatrix. Don't pick Isis Unveiled again. Secret Teachings of All Ages, Isis Unveiled, Morals and Dogma, Book 4, Corpus Hermeticum, Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Thoth, and Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot, or some other stuff. But so what do you think? Just like, I don't know if you can see these on camera, not so much, but you get the idea. Maybe if I move these out and like stagger them. Can you read those titles? I don't know if you can read those. Probably not, right? So Luana, you pick a book. The second book, okay, 777 or Corpus Hermeticum. The second one was 777. That's this one. Okay, second name I see is Brianna. So Brianna, pick a number between 1 and let's not do Sephiroth. We're just going to stick to 777. So let's do that. Okay. All right. So 1 and 140. That's really table of yeah. So 137. So but between 1 and 137. Yeah, Brianna, any number between 1 and, oh, that's cool. That's the first page of book 777. Neat. Here we get into correspondences, and so let's just stick to the actual prose. So 137. All right, so between 1 and 137. And then Missy, you're going to pick a number between 1 and say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 30, like 35-ish. Let's call it 35. 23. Okay. Okay. And now this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, like 25 lines, 26 lines. The print's a little bigger on this page. So a number between 1 and 26 for Missy. And then what we're going to do is take the first line, take the first letter of each word in that line, and we're going to do Gematria on that line and see what the message is for everyone that's watching or listening. It's going to be a lot of fun. Usually, when I do this process with people, crazy stuff happens. Yesterday's stream was like pure synchronicity, the whole stream. Like, it was so nuts. But between like 1 and 35 It looks like there's about 35 lines on the page because the text is kind of bigger print. Okay. 14, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. Thus we have the famous virgin, the serpent, the sun, suggesting the story of Genesis and the gospel. Didn't I just cover that yesterday? Okay, cool. So, the virgin... Oh, wait. Thus we have the famous virgin, the evil serpent, the sun, suggesting the story of Genesis. Okay. So let me... some note paper. I'll do it in the chat. Okay. Thus, we have the famous virgin, the evil serpent, the sun, suggesting the story of Genesis. You're about to get smacked in the face with some wisdom. Let's see what this has to say here. Okay, so let's do the quick math. And by quick, I mean not. Okay. Tet. Vow. Hey. Tet. Pay. Pay is also F, which is the P in the middle toward the bottom there. Vow. What'd I do? One more time. Tet. Oh my gosh. Did I not clear it? Okay, sorry. Okay, one more time. Okay. Take 3. 1,000. Okay, 9. Plus. 9 plus vow plus hay plus tau or tet pay vow hay. The E is hay, which is 5. Samach. Tet. Samach. Tet. Samach. Vow, because of the sound. Ow, which is an O sound. And then Gimel. Don't forget 9 equals 0. And so what are we left with? We're left with a 9. 6 and 3 is 9. 9 and 9 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9, right? So anytime you see a 9 or any derivative of, it means 0. So it's going to land on a 9. So this means 9, but we're not going to go there yet. We're going to first look up 396. Now, first of all, let's speak this. Getav. Getav with a V. Getav. Okay. So this statement is Getav. Now, the next thing we're going to do, and don't forget the statement, that was actually a pretty profound statement, because that was what we were talking about yesterday with respect to the fall and then Eden, and the fact that Adam and Eve were really just God playing out his own desire to descend, and he used the serpent in order to do that. And what is the serpent but God from the lower world, right? So that whole, and that's what we're looking at here. Okay, so that word is actually a beautiful word, right? That word, if you're in the inner order where it matters. In the outer order, it's just a number, just a word. It's actually meaningless. But in the inner order, that word, Getav, is powerful. All right, and so now let's look at the equivalent. So we're looking at 396. The demon of December 1st. Who was that yesterday that got that? One of you got the first and one of you got the second. Remember that? That's also my daughter's birthday. And no, I'm not kidding. Wow. Wow. That's a good one. I'll check that in a sec. Who is December 1st? I remember I did everybody's the names that you were bestowed, and then we did the Gematria. And one of you came up as the number or December 1st, and one of you came up as December 2nd, which was like really cool. Anyway, whoever you were that was December 1st, it's referring to this story, right? It's right there. 396, Day of the Demon of the 1st of December, right? Now, you want to see it? You want to see a picture of it? I have the Goetia. And if you have the Goetia, that gives you access to the pictures of these December 1st entities. They're not entities. They are. They're not. I shall read to you from the Lesser Key of Solomon. The king. And we find the actually what I need is the Goetia. There's a couple in here, and so where's the lesser? Is it toward the end? Those that are friends of the channel know that I lost every occult book I had and had to like kind of recollect over time, and so a lot of these are pretty fresh looking. Here we go. Oh, that's the Key of Solomon. That's not what I want. I want Goetia. Here we go. Well, you know what? Let's not do the sigils. Let's look at the actual. These are the sigils, and if we're not. These are used to actually call them, and we don't want to do that. We just want to look at their pictures. So instead, I'm going to move to Lemegeton. And see where are the pictures of the. I haven't looked at these in a while, so pardon me. I'm going back a little while to remember where the sketches were, what book it was in. Did he put them in 7/7? No. These are their shadows. Let me put it. And so we would need to find the appropriate chart. This is a little out of the scope. There's a book that actually has the sketches of the entities, so to speak, from Crowley and Mathers. What book did they put that in? Pardon my ignorance. It might be on Sacred Texts, actually. Let me check Sacred Texts, because let's just give this a quick flip. It's not in 777. I know it isn't, but I'm going to satisfy that part of my brain that's like, oh, figure it out, man. All right, it's not here. Yeah, so I'm going to see if I can find it on Sacred Texts, because it's really, really, really interesting to go through this process, because when we this was, you know, again, a random, took a line, did the Gematria, and what we got is December 1st, which is one of the individuals in this room's name they were granted yesterday for the inner order. Also Gematria was December 1st. So this particular entity is connected to that person, and I want to find out who it is, right? And so, okay, you might have been. So if you were second, and maybe it might have been Shushu. It might have been Shushu. Because Shushu is Shin-Vao. So 6, right? Shin is 300. Vao is 6, right? So it's 312. Right? 312. It might have been you then. Let's find out. We'll look up 312 and then we'll know. No, he's December 3rd. Wow, are you kidding? So we have the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd? That's not possible. Like, that's too synchronistic. You know, there's a certain point where the percentage goes, like, off the wall, where it's like, come on. Take a look at December. Okay, 2 of you have the same deacon and 1 of you doesn't. The December 3rd one, Shushu, is the 9 of Wand, while the other 2 of you are the 8s. I love playing with toys. They point at the truth. Like, don't forget that the outer order isn't even necessary for you to walk into the inner sanctum, right? But this is just playing with toys. This points to the truth. This is an amazing thing that just happened. This is the second time in a row that we've had this ridiculous level of synchronicity related to the names that were like randomly picked and then random. You know, like the names I picked had to do with the individual. I'm not revealing their meanings, except to them, but they're specific to what I gathered from my relationship with these people for a short period of time. Like, Shushu and I have talked a little bit personally. Missy and I chat, text a lot or email a lot. Lauren and I text a lot and email a lot, talked on the phone a few times. Like, we have a very short time together, and I derive these names from, like, little experiences and things I picked out of that time. And it was random, and then the nicknames were random, and we did it's like the whole thing's so cool. And now here we do this thing to demonstrate the process. Man, that's just I kind of got a little dizzy there. That was great. Sometimes it's so true that it kind of smacks you in the face. I was kidding when I said that. Covered everything. Yeah, okay. Yeah, one last thing I wanted to say also too, that I forgot to mention before, which is the fact that the death card means transformation. And if we're referring to transforming fear, die. Reform yourself, right? Die daily. Because when you do, you have the opportunity to rebuild. Not heal, transform, right? But yeah, so, and what is the death card but half the story? 13. The whole story is 26, which isn't true because we now know that there's 2 stories, right? There's 2 trees. No, there's 4 trees. No, there's 1 tree. No, there's no trees. But there is 4, right? And those 4 are the whole story. So what the 26 is really, don't forget, every 2 has a third. We think 13 is half of 26 and then we're done. Nope, there's another whole opposite to that. What's 26 and 26? Does someone throw the answer in? That's right, the number of weeks in a year. Which is totally tied to the moon, right? That's not an accident. Those numbers are an accident. I love you. Okay, let's take a look. Now, there's a few ways that you can do I love you. One of the ways that you can do it is agape, which is a very holy word, right? Or you can do pick a language. There's a lot of languages that have different words for that. Or you can do the English version, right? Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. A-S-K. Ask and receive, seek and find, knock and it shall be opened. Right? What is asking? Speaking. What is receiving? Listening. Ask and then listen. No mind. Listening is the cup. Keep your mind out of it and just listen, right? So ask and ye shall receive. Listen. Seek. Ask and ye shall find. Receive. Knock. Speak. And it shall be opened unto you. And what are you receiving to open yourself? So let's do I love you from the respect of transliteration, or more importantly, pronunciation. We're gonna do a cross between Pythagorean and Hebrew and Gematria. So we're using English letters, which we've been doing, and so we're just gonna do I, Yud, Lamed, Vow, another vowel, Hey, Yud, Vow, I believe the U is going to be the vowel, which came up a lot here. The oo sound. The yud, which sounds like it might be that, starts pardon me, starts with an e. It's because you're saying yud, but it starts with e yud, so it's an e sound, e I, right? And so it's a different number, and so that last one, the u, is going to be vow. And that's going to be another 6. Let me make, okay. So right away, we don't even have to do the reduction because it's 9. But what we're going to do is just jump to 79, and then we'll jump to 7. So first, let's do 79, and then we'll do 7. Boaz, one of the pillars of the Temple of Solomon. There's your answer for B and J, Boaz and Yakin. This is the number for Boaz. There's mercy and severity. I'm going to let you look up and follow that trail on your own. But one of those pillars is named for the concept of mercy, and one is named for the concept of severity, or the scourge, right? The palm frond, which is painful. Die. It means die. Come on, like the synchronicity is too much. Like I've been saying, as a sort of as the actual thing to do in order to find this realization is to die, to let go of the ego, right? To let go of the compulsion to know. and to simply be. And the word for I love you in Gematria is die. And it's also Boaz, one of the pillars. And Yakin. Boaz. Missy, are you listening? Okay, hang on. 79. Boaz, one of the pillars in the Temple of Solomon. Oh, no, Yakin, one of the pillars of the Temple of Solomon. The 2 pillars. How many pillars are there? 3. There's 3. Every 2 has a third. That is a rule. It is a truth in the universe. So there is a middle pillar. We won't talk about it. Boaz, Yakin. Conjunction and meeting. Love, right? That's great. Conjunction, meeting, and union. Now, don't forget, this is based on the Hebrew word. We did the numerology based on English, right? So these 2 shouldn't gel, but conjunction, meeting, and union. Beautiful. Die. The 2 Okay, so what... All right, okay. What's happening is the reflection of the words that were all just spoken. Die daily. Oh, what's that BJ mean on the temple? It means Boaz and Yakin. Was just spoken through Brianna going, oh, I'm curious about what I love you means. And then us making the decision, let's use the English letters and not agape. Had I done agape, we wouldn't have gotten that answer. I love playing with toys. They point right at it. I'm exhausted. We're about to hit 3 hours and 30 seconds. What a night. This stream was awesome. I feel great. How you guys feel? Did your face hurt? Because mine does. You know what you do when you get smacked in the face, right? You turn the other cheek. What does turn the other cheek mean? Turn the other cheek means when you get smacked over here, you don't get angry, you give him the other one. Let him smack it. Right? That's the lesson of turn the other cheek. Whew. Tonight was a great night. I really want to thank everybody for participating in this process because it doesn't work alone. We need each other, and this is evidence. I challenge anyone to share this video with anyone and watch what happened tonight and question anything you saw. 344, love that. 11 is everything, right? It's, but only in the inner sanctum. Don't forget, people, we're playing with toys. In the outer sanctum, this is meaningless fun. But it points to the truth. There is truth in it if you know how to decode it, right? And what do you need to decode it? Just the knowledge of the algorithm. That's just a word for a way to think about it. Every 2 has a third. DNA Day. What is DNA Day? Was it the day it was discovered, or are we doing that DNA as like the letters and the numbers? I was born on the day of the Boston Tea Party and the opening of Star Wars. Recently, it's been coming out on my birthday or close to it, which is really cool. My daughter actually got the opening of Star Wars in '77. That's her birthday, which is May 25th. Also the birthday of Frank Oz, who plays Yoda. Very cool, right? Just great. Let's look up 344. Why not? Okay. I put the book away, but so what? A plantation or garden. A garden? So Missy's like, whoa, I looked down at the clock and it said 3:44. I think I'm going to put it in the chat because it's going to be cool with this conversation. Little did she know that she spoke the word garden in Gematria. Why is that important, people? soul is on fire right now. Thank you so much for doing that. I'm shaking. I love it. Not because it happened, but because it got witnessed. You know, that's the point here, is that every once in a while, you can't approach the work with the intent of that being the goal, because then you're seeking with the sword, right? But that's why we're playing here. We're not looking for wisdom, we're playing. But the fact is that it's always nice every once in a while for you to get a little evidence to keep you on the path to recognizing that this is true and you're doing the right work. And so I think we've had that experience here these past couple days, right? Yeah, you just like reflect that out, so that you spit stuff out and it points to this idea. It's true. And so, you know, try to get out of your own way mentally when you're in the inner order. But when you're in the outer order, have fun, play, be funny, be silly, be vulgar, like enjoy it. When you're in the inner order, treat it holy, because it is. We need to have the serious times and we need to have the playful times. And the playful times need to be a higher percentage than the serious. You know, there's times when you just have to do the work, and you have to do it sincerely, and you have to do it, and you have to treat it holy. But those other times, have fun. And this process of playing is leading to these pointers, right? And more so that I feel like the community that's building here is correct, right? Seeking truth, yeah, instead of answers. So, wow. You know, I'm looking up, I see that it's 10 to 4, so I'm going to spend 10 more minutes in here and just, you know, call it quits at 4 o'clock. Let's do that. On my time, 4 o'clock my time. So let's do one more of those, just for fun, or unless you guys want to do something else. We can look at, I could read you another axiom, and we can talk about another axiom from Kabbalion. We can throw some quick cards, just, you know, playfully, right? I have a Filth deck out, my large Filth. We can, just for fun, let's look at today's upper room. Why not, right? 30th. Revelation 21, 1 through 5. The one who was seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all new things." And now what are the new things that I'm making? The new will. We talked about it in the beginning, so that's great. Awesome. 21:5. Revelation 21, verse 5. The one who is seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all new things." I will trust in God's power to make all new things. Whose power? In stereo, your power. Okay. So, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Like, really, it was I agree. And this was a conversation. This doesn't happen without the conversation. Everybody here contributed to this whole evening, and it was amazing. So, man, really. Yeah, I'm going to pull a card. Let's just see. I'm just going to pull a random card. Why not? Just for the fun of it. That's what we're doing right now. We're in play mode. What do we see here? Forget about this word. Ignore that word for right now, because what this word is derived from the decadent meaning of the sign and planet within the Golden Dawn system. And so that's good, but that's not relevant here, because you know what I see? I see the meeting of minds in the middle of a flower that's opening. How many minds? 4 minds. Meeting together to open the flower. Incidentally, what's Jupiter in Libra? Let's check the wheel. Libra. Jupiter in Libra is October 13th through 22nd. Coming up. Right? Okay. Beautiful. And 4 is also cool because, again, that's like the tetrahedron, right? The dot, then the line, then the triangle, which is the 2D. The 4 is the first moment of 3D, right? It's the moment of the tetrahedron. It's the first point where things exist below the abyss. Yeah, you know, Brianna, you need to. Yeah, Missy knows her stuff when it comes to making food, so that's probably a relationship that you're going to want to pursue. Man, what a night. Late December back at 60. You know, now I have to go listen to that song. Oh, what a night. Wow. So cool. I love it. I'm all like, wow, I got some I'm going to be teaching some stuff tonight. I learned some stuff tonight. That was great. I don't even know where to leave it. I really don't. I'm dizzy. I'm like so filled up with truth that I'm buzzing. Cool, yeah. Aprile. April's a great month. You can go out into a field and take a deep breath and it actually smells sweet, you know? Sure. Well, not just cooking, but growing food is making food, right? I enjoy cooking too. I don't cook enough. You know what my problem is? I am card-carrying, clinically lazy. And so, and also I'm a perfectionist. So like when I make sauce, Missy and I are going to have a sauce off between. Now the judges are going to be, I have to pick a couple people and she has to pick a couple people. Her husband has to be involved because he's eaten her food before. And so he's going to have a solid understanding of her sauce. So when he eats mine and he has to lie to her that mine's better, I want to witness it. But truth story is that she'll pick a couple people, I'll pick a couple people, and we're going to have a sauce off. That's going to be a lot of fun. But that's, you know, a Clearview Revolution. I love that name. Hey, you need to know that you have a twin flame with a channel on YouTube. Her channel is Sassy Scorpion Tarot. You're welcome. Okay. I will not ignore that. And everyone here knows that that's true. Let's do this while you're here then. Let's take Sassy Scorpion, not Tarot, Sassy Scorpion, and do some Gematria and decide, should I even attempt to contact this person? Does everyone think that's a good idea? Because I'm doing it. So let's do that. Let's go to the calculator. Okay, so what we're going to be looking for here is Sassy Scorpion. I'm going to start with Samach. Let's just count the S's. 1, 2, 3, 4 S's. Right? So that's 240. And then we're going to do Aleph. Yud. Kaf. Val. Resh. Pei. Fei. Yud. Val. Nun. Okay, let's look up 623. Yeah, I'll call her. I'll check it out. Yeah, that's, and then with the cooking, right? Yeah, there's something to that. I will definitely check out the channel. So, yeah, what a great night. And a Clearview Revolution. First of all, thank you for popping in on the channel. I really appreciate that. And, you know, we're always looking for really cool people to contribute in the chat and to have fun here. I do inner, outer order, and then the Inner Sanctum. And the outer order is playtime. So we do Gematria, and we do, you know, tarot readings and all that stuff. The inner order is... we're still playing, but we're playing with adult toys, right? And so now we take the stuff that we learned during the playing and we apply it with the intent of the one truth. The goal here is not to find the answers with tarot. It's to seek truth with the tools. And so I can't wait to check it out. Really. But yeah, so what an evening. We really experienced a lot together tonight, and it couldn't have happened without everybody here. All together, kind of adding that energy, and how beautiful. And, you know, I really encourage it. I'm not doing it for views, you know that. Go back to that and re-watch some of this. It's so great as a reminder to forget, you know. Well, that whole basket is salsa waiting to happen. Although there weren't any onions in there, and we know that that's a big base for salsa. So, but yeah, I bet you she makes a banging salsa. Okay. So I'm gonna head out. Great night. Crazy. Some serious truth got thrown around here, and you know, what a night, really. Tell him I'm sorry I kept you up, and I appreciate it. And just remind him that he's dreamy. But so, okay. With that said, then, Brianna, thank you too so much. Luana, thank you so much for joining and adding to everything that happened tonight. Like, I mean that. Clearview Revolution, love the name. Like, and just all of the symbolism that's in that, even to the point of like the mirror is a window, isn't either. The whole thing is just great, and I love the name. So, thank you for contributing to and popping in, and I will check her out. I promise. I'm gonna go look at the channel now, so that I don't forget. I tend to do that. My streams are channeled, right? So this is me, but I'm just an empty cup speaking sword, right? So I'm observing it. And so I typically forget stuff after I hit the button and I'm off. I'm Michael again, and like I'm not, you know, so I'm a different place. So that said, mentally I forget birthdays, I forget, you know how many times I've asked the people here I've done readings for what their birthday is? What's your sun sign again, right? So I'll check it out now so I don't forget. And yeah, the stuff that just came up too with the Gematria on that was kind of neat. So thank you for that. Oh, cool. Good, so the onions are ready. Anyway, have a great night, guys. I will see you tomorrow. And if anyone saw anything, please like the video. Consider a comment. The comment matters. The robots read that stuff. 101. Well, 101 I've looked up before, and 101 is my name. It's the name Michael. That's cool. But let's just do 101, and then I'll sign off from that point. I mean, if you do need or interested, or you know somebody else too that you think might benefit from a reading, gift it, and it's half price. And now you can lie to me about who paid for it. So a $10 reading's $5. If you want to do the actual spread, you know, the march of the courts and the rise of the proletary, as the full is $35, but it's half price if you gift it, and you can lie. Hey, I bought it for this person who bought it for that, and so it's pretty cheap. Let's look up 101, or just pop on the channel and we'll read for free. 101, swallowed, destroyed. A storehouse. The archangel of the sun and fire, which is obviously Michael. You know, Michael was, you know, he had the flaming sword, and you know, he fought Satan. But he's not. That's not Michael. The gut. The angel of Malkut, of Bria. The kingdom. The virgin princess. Now, what is the kingdom? Ecclesia. There's a lot of good ones for 101, but yeah. Oh yeah, there's some fun stuff in the beginning that I think you're gonna like, and I appreciate that. Yeah, there's good. Tonight's a good one. Oh, stop! I have to sleep. 2:03. Okay. This stuff is addicting, right? And so, like, if all you have to do is like, you sure you don't want another hit, man? Fine, one more hit. Fine. Okay, 2:03. Okay. The initials of the Trinity. Passed away, perished. Wow, I keep saying over and over to die daily. Missy, your husband said to go to bed. Okay. To lie in wait. We're on 203 still. To lie in wait. Created. Exotic. Foreign. 404. Who's foreign? You are. Why? Because you just forgot that you knew. 404. Okay. Stop knowing and start forgetting. The law. The edict. Good stuff. Incidentally, what I read you tonight on purpose is I read just two axioms, number 12 and number 3, right? Or number 6, number 12 and number 6. Just to clarify now, this is for anybody who wants to know the real meaning of the Justice card in the tarot. Okay, here is the meaning of the Justice card from the only little white book that matters, which is receiving divine mind in your heart. Every cause has an effect. Every effect, its cause. Every effect, right. Everything happens according to the law. Chance is but another name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law, right? What is that? That's the Justice card. That's what it's representing. The half-wise, recognizing the comparative unreality of the universe, imagine that they may defy its laws. Such are vain and presumptuous fools, and they are broken against the rocks and torn asunder by the elements by reason of their folly. The truly wise, knowing the nature of the universe, use law against laws. Capital L against laws, lowercase l. The higher against the lower, and by the alchemy, or the art of alchemy, transmute that which is undesirable into that which is worthy, thus triumph. And we talked about it before. I showed you the story and the code, right? The divine order, the story. That's on the descent side, the estrangement, prior to the restoration, prior to the rise of the proletary. So beautiful stuff. Anyway, thank you so much for this evening. I had a blast. None of this ever happened.